So what color does she appear to be?
Reddish.
A little reddish. Is it a fiery red, an unhealthy red, a feverish looking red? Or is it just a sort of a healthy girl red?
Pretty healthy girl. I would
Pretty
say
healthy.
healthy
I
girl.
would say pretty healthy. And do you see, we want to look at the proportions of her face. So if you just take your fingers, 1, 2, 3. Is she evenly proportioned?
Forehead a little bigger.
Forehead's a little bigger. So she has more thinking capacity.
Or it doesn't
more,
stop.
more air.
More vata.
Yeah.
More vata. So we've talked about the 3 body types vaguely. Did we cover that yesterday? Actually, I can't remember. Okay, so let's run through that
a little bit.
a little bit. So vata is irregular. Keywords: irregular, airy, dry. So when we ask questions of vata people, pretty much every response is going to be irregular. Their teeth will be irregular, their menstrual cycles, their bowel movements, their dietary habits. Basically every question you ask them, the answer will be irregular. And vata people tend to not sleep well at night because their minds continue to go. So they're kind of working all night long. And they're the creative geniuses, the artists, the people who can think outside the box. And they'll solve the problems of the world, but they'll need a pitta to manifest it because they're not great at follow through.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh no, I know this, but
And all of us are combinations. You know, very few people are all one thing. And if you are all one thing, that's unhealthy. So, people are combinations of these attributes. So vata people all need oiling. If you start with oil, you will succeed. So if you begin with an oil and a lube inside and outside, so they need dietary oils and they need external oils. Because they're escaping, their essence is leaving the vessel. Dry skin is a crack in the vessel, isn't it? William Lasassier would always say, first you have to repair the leak in the vessel. So by oiling, you're beginning to contain the vessel, as Matt was saying yesterday about burdock, how burdock will recreate the oil that has been lost so that you stop seeping out. So oil and a lube. Send them home. Good beginnings. So, and we want to look at the features of the body and see.
Oh, but she's pretty pitta too.
Yeah, well, that's how I'm going to stick your tongue out.
Margie, can I ask, how did you jump from looking at the thirds of her face to determining that she was vata?
Air is vata.
Okay, so it was
My
the bigger
forehead's
forehead that
Yeah.
clued you in on
Irregularity is vata.
the vata. Okay.
And I've listened to her talk all day yesterday. So for me, the great gift of knowing the doshas is you'll learn compliance. If I know she's vata, I know that I have to tell her to put her herbal protocol onto a calendar or have her cell phone ring, alarm clock or something, or live with a pitta who will tell her what to do. So, and that way you learn compliance. So I'm going to run through all 3 briefly, and then as we get the different people up here, like Matt's Kapha. But he's probably Pitta Kapha. Yeah, because his mind is so sharp. And sharp mind is always Pitta. So Pitta, they are medium and perfect. They're the beautiful people. When you look at them, their proportions are so completely, they're gorgeous. It's like look at him. See, his mouth is very beautifully shaped, and his proportions are stunning. And
bring the light over this way.
and
I'm a
the
pitta that ran downhill. Deteriorated.
and so pittas, everything is sharp about them. Their mind is sharp. Their step is sharp when they walk. They have a sharp step, and their tongue is sharp. They can tend to say things a little brusquely. But they're the generals and the leaders. They're the ones who can lead the masses, but because they're willing to see the bigger picture. Whereas a vata person would never be able to say, okay, those 5,000 beautiful young men, put them in the front of the line. And we know they'll all be killed. But it's okay, for the greater good they go. And so Pittas are able, they're the politicians.
Yeah.
You know, they
The
can.
actors on the stage.
The
of life.
actors, you know, they're hot. They're too fiery, so you can't give them stimulants. Coffee will make them spin around the room. So the Pitta people need to avoid stimulants, but they need to throw wood into the fire regularly. You know, they need to have meals on a regular basis. And as clients, you must explain everything with scientific research behind it, because they don't suffer fools gladly. And if they think that you're not as smart as they are, they won't do what you say. They will just leave with great disdain for you. So a Pitta person needs to have food on a regular basis, avoid stimulants, and calming things. And their teeth are always straight. Their tongue is always pointed, whereas Vata tongue is usually a little squared off at the edges.
Yeah, and thinner.
And thinner. It's kind of, it goes in a little bit usually at the back third of the tongue. Kapha, Mr. Wood, again,
Here's Pitta Kapha tongue. Because it's muscular.
his tongue goes fat, pointed, fat, pointed. He's very talented. And when you look at people's tongues, look for those two indications, because you'll see their dominant dosha in their tongue. So Kapha is the strongest of all the doshas. And the way that I treat Kapha people is through appealing to their gastronomical senses. So everything has to taste good, and if you can give them things that are appealing to them gastronomically, they're happier. Kaphas need stimulants. They're the dosha who needs to have coffee in the morning to get up. You know, they need a good push. They love the sofa. They're comfort people. They're like, you look at them and you're like, oh, what a beautiful lap. I think I'll climb in. And they're compassionate and loving and kind. And they have the biggest hearts, but it's their heart that will break down first, because they love oils and fats and
Sugar.
you know, well, sugar is definitely damaging to Kapha. But the Kaphas, if you can get them off the sofa and regular exercise, they're the strongest, and they really, their endurance is far greater than Vata or Pitta. And we're all combinations. You know, like if somebody's overweight, their Kapha is out of balance. If somebody's excessively thin, then their Vata is out of balance. Okay, back to you. So,
At the tongue again?
have you ever worn braces?
Yes, I have.
So if their teeth are straight and you know they're Vata, you just ask them, did you ever wear braces? You're not supposed to have straight teeth. And the other thing about Vata is by telling them that they're Vata, they can accept who they are. Because Vatas have often lived in a world where they thought that they were not okay being Vata. And now you give them permission. Oh, you're Vata, and that's cool. You're so creative and artistic and wonderful and delightful. And then teach them how to balance themselves. So, how, tongue again? Toward you.
Oh, somewhat thin. This
A
way.
little thin and a little spleenish. So the outer edge of her tongue has some scalloped edges, and scalloped edges is really pancreas, spleen pancreas. So in Western world we would call it pancreas. So, and when you see those lines, that's people that are worrying too much. And as my great therapist Garbis Demigian says, worrying is like praying for what you don't want to happen. So, too much worry, and you know, remember what we said about Vata, they don't sleep well. They're thinking, creating all night long. So it has to do with nervous tension, lymphatic system, and worry is the emotion. So if I were looking for confirmations for pancreas spleen, I would look to see if she had little rivulets coming down here, and I would have to find my glasses, which somehow I've managed to lose again, but I believe she has not a mark on this beautiful young face. So there's little crow's feet here. Crow's feet are okay. Most herbalists have those because we go outside and we smile. You know, we're happy people. So crow's feet I don't count as being anything but a good outdoor person. She has very, very fine lines. I bet you guys can't even see those. But right here, she has what William would call feathery lines. So feathery lines indicate a more sensitive constitution, a person who might be more susceptible to food allergies or to environmental allergies. And let's see the nose.
Can you see a mirror so I can see?
Can you see a mirror? Yes. Who can see the mirror? Thank you. So these right here, they're ever so little. You might, I don't know how you would magnify your own face. I suppose CVS has a mirror like that. So her nose, her nostrils are quite thin. She has a very arabesque nose, very quite beautiful. Artists love this nose. But it's quite beautiful and very delicate and very closed. And what is your nose supposed to do?
Yeah.
Breathe in lots of air. So this is a sign of more sensitivities, more sensitive in nature. She would be a more sort of more in the psychic, attuned, empathic kind of personality. That kind, you're not only sensitive to the environment and food, but it also makes you a more sensitive person, right? Okay, how are her lips?
Cool.
They're full. Are they even above and below? Yes. And they're quite wide. You know, wide lips are considered to be more beautiful because their proportion is more physically. When we look at beautiful people, we're drawn to that perfection. You know, if we see a symmetrical person, we're pleased. And if we see you know, a little lopsided on one side, that indicates that there's a problem. Is she symmetrical or asymmetrical?
Looks symmetrical to me.
Yeah, she does to me too, but look here. Yeah, pretty beautiful. Just something a little different
Lightness
on
at
the
the
mouth.
bottom of the lip.
Just on the bottom of the lip. It's really slight. But would have to have something because she's Vata. Otherwise she would suddenly become Pitta. And she has these, so let's stay on the, well, we'll get an asymmetrical person. So she has earlobes that if we turn the head here, you can see her lobe is well defined, right? And you want to pinch the lobe. People love this. You go, nice lobes. So her lobe is, in proportion to her ear, is pretty good. But if you pinch Matthew's earlobes, he has plump baby thigh earlobes.
Baby thighs.
And those are the best earlobes. This is where your kidney chi is. This is the amount of sort of life force that you came into the world with. And if you've got big, fat, juicy earlobes, you can literally live through anything. I mean, that is the one indicator that tells me, yeah, this person they can go through anything. Pretty good though, not thin, and it doesn't give away. I can't touch my finger through. You know, if you can feel your own finger through the earlobe, then the person is very depleted. And then here you want to pinch the cartilage area of the ear. Turn your head this way a little bit, and then we'll show Matthew. So right in here shows the strength of her bones. So how that feels, if she had very dry bones, it would feel dry and brittle. And if one part of that cartilage was weaker than another part, then so that the head is at the earlobe, and then the on the ear, this is kidneys. The head is down here at the earlobe, and then the spine comes around the back, and the baby's all curled up in utero. So if it was weaker at this upper part, that would be the sacrum. So the bones of the sacrum might have some deterioration if it was feeling thinner in that area than the other areas. So you can sort of figure out where there's possible breakdown of the bones, osteoporosis. So it should feel hard but not dry, and supple, so the spine is still moving, not rigid. Well, so we can talk about your ear a little bit more. So this area here at the base, let's see, frenulum tragus. So the tragus is pretty open, so her stomach is pretty relaxed. So she, I would guess, let's see your lip, and she has a nice little divot here, this area here, that's pretty relaxed. It's pretty beautiful though. It has that sort of artistic look again, so a little sensitive, but I would say your issues might not be in your stomach because of this relaxation area. Her chin is well shaped. Is this a breakout here?
Yeah, that's new. And I've just started going to an acupuncturist, so I don't know if it's releasing of stuff.
It's new and it stays. It's not new with just your period.
No, I mean like the whole issue of breaking out is new. I don't normally. Every once in a while after my period, I might get one, but usually I don't at all.
And it's
so
always in this area here?
Usually here. Oh, I guess I do have one right there.
Well, these areas here and sometimes above are ovaries. But this area here is the womb itself. So, you know, once again, we're dealing with deep emotions, second chakra. You know, the pelvic floor, if you take this part, really from the TMJ all the way down and drop it to the pelvic floor, then the womb is here, cervix is here, pelvic floor. Oftentimes people have breakouts right at the walls of the pelvic floor, so there's stagnation in the walls themselves. There might be fibrous tissue or endometrial tissue. Sometimes people have PID, pelvic inflammatory disease, or those small cysts that kind of movable cysts, that sort of thing. And oftentimes you'll see dark coloration in this area, melanin. So if I did see melanin in here, then I would be working with the pineal gland. And if there's a pineal problem, she would usually be having sleep irregularities, because pineal regulates the circadian rhythms. Night and day, happy and sad, you know, all of that. So, but her melanin looks pretty good. So I'm more concerned about this area around her eyes. I want to see that color go away. So does the color go halfway if we have the eyeball divided in half? Is it just from the inner eye out, or does it go all the way around, or does it go all the way up and around? What is it? What is
You're
it
looking
doing?
at the dark circle underneath?
Yeah.
Goes all the way around. Where? Goes all the way. You close it?
It goes all the way. So that'll take a longer period of time to deal with. If it goes from the inner eye to halfway or less, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. Any further, it'll take longer for the issue to heal. Some people have dark circles all the way around their eyes, and they've had them since birth. A lot of Mediterraneans, those beautiful Italian women in their spike heels, you know, they have, they just have those dark circles, but they're also highly expressive, aren't they? You know, it's like, hey! You know, and they can express their emotions rapidly, quickly, and loudly. You know, it's like, which came first? The expression of anger or the dark circles? Well, it doesn't really matter. It's like the chicken and the egg. You just treat the liver. But yours is more liver adrenal. It has that blue cast to it. And when you see that blue cast, it's always adrenal.
What if it's a brown cast?
Then it's poop. So brown cast has more to do with stagnation in the colon, maybe stagnation in the kidneys or blockage in the kidneys. But brown is more the elimination organs. And with kidneys, you'll see puffiness, because kidneys are the water carriers. So kidneys will be puffy, but the brown coloration can sometimes be kidneys, but it has to do with colon. Yeah, I heard that. And so the colon, if it is colon, you'll often have red breakouts in the inner white part of the eye, from the eye colored part to the interior will be broken blood vessels. And if the issue is colon, then she has a little bit of a line here. So this is a large intestine line here. You know, many people start way higher. Hers really starts right here at her nostril and begins to go down, which is more related to the last few feet of the colon into the rectal area. Rectum, you usually have a fork. You know, William would teach, you have a large intestine line that comes down, and then as it forks, then more complication. Every time you have a cross in a line, one organ is affecting another. So we have large intestine line, then a fork begins, and then from below maybe another line will fork and another, and they're all in this little area in here. Let me see that. Can I make it happen? Here. Let's see. So, like this, and then here's one, and then if I had a big one going this way, and it made a little island, an island is actually pathology. So this is where, as practitioners, I have to get off my knees. As practitioners, we have to only give advice to people who ask for it. When you go out to dinner and you see an island, a little puffy island with those diamond shaped there popping out, you can't say to the person, oh, you have to go right in and have a colonoscopy, because they haven't asked you for advice. It's a little bit of torture. And a great way to learn diagnostics is to go to the movies, because now that they have digital movies, you can see every blemish, every pore, every line on the body possible. and you know, you can go with your herbal friends, and then your people next to you will hush you all the time. The hushers will come. Okay. Anything notable, any other lines that you see on her that are notable? Yes, Sarah, what are those?
The semicircles on her throat for the thyroid.
Two semicircles, one above and one below the thyroid. So this is a classic thyroid line. And I've never seen this in a book, but this is where 30 years of practice, if I see these lines, I know they have a thyroid problem.
Yep.
So what, oh, and we have confirmation.
Well, I learned that from Margi, and it's never failed.
Yeah, it's really,
Yeah, it's for hypothyroid.
yeah. So we would,
hypo.
it's hypo. I haven't seen it for hyper.
No,
Hypo
but a
for
really
sure.
valuable thing for a hyper is the little indent in the tongue.
The
right
tip
there.
of the tongue?
Yeah, going
Yeah.
back in.
Yeah,
For hyper, you said?
Yeah.
for hyperthyroid.
And what about the eyes popping out?
Oh,
That's
well, yeah,
hyper.
that's true too.
Hyper.
Yeah.
I mean, hyper has really, okay, well, should we run through 'em? Hyper, you're going to see bug eyes. This, as Matt would say, it's sort of the
Hunted
deer in the hunted animal, or deer in the headlights. It's like, ah!
Yeah.
So big eyes, they usually don't sleep well. They can be thin, but it's not always true. And hyper will usually have a high-toned voice, high-pitched voice, and hypo usually has a deeper voice. Hypo has loss of eyebrows. And so I'm looking. Have you
Yeah.
lost eyebrows?
No,
on
I
the
just never
outer-
really had them.
You never really had them. So does your parent have thyroid issues?
Yeah, well, I grew up, I was 3 when 3 Mile Island happened, and I'm about 20 miles from there. So it's everyone in my area has thyroid issues.
Yeah, yarrow, kelp
Yeah.
are your friends.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are definite ways to deal with thyroid issues, and it's such a healthy way in the herb world. You know, and living near any nuclear power plant. We live near one. We have Seabrook. It's like 18 miles as the crow flies. And we have a lot of crows flying around here bringing that radiation. So radiation comes down in the rain, and we live in a rainy area. And the truth is, the entire planet is being irradiated, because there are power plants all over this planet that are leaking all the time. You know, we hear about a couple of them, but the hush-hush is big for a nuclear leak. So Okay, so she has an interesting indentation here. Is that do you have scars or anything like that you need to tell me about?
Not that I know of. I mean, I have I have a chicken pox one like around here, but not here that I know of. Though,
Well, that could be a chicken pox. Maybe. I don't
Well,
have my.
I also
I've
just-
lost my glasses again. So.
I don't know, I also just went to a new dentist, and the hygienist had my mouth open for so long, and now my jaw's starting to click. So I don't know. I don't know if that's it or not.
Oh, Joseph. Yeah. So what we learned at dinner last night
Oh.
was you can all do this now. So you just put your fingers, your TMJs, open and close, and go in the middle, and then pull
distracting.
down.
Just imagine pulling that joint down a little bit from the.
And do not thrust your head forward at your cervical spine while you're doing it. Tuck it in. Like
So
a
pulling
turtle.
straight down towards the floor,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not towards the chin.
Yeah. Good.
Thank
And
you.
before I go to the dentist, I take arnica.
Oh, that's
And then when you come home, take it again. And the other TMJ recipe from Ryan Drum that I love so much is equal parts of sesame oil and juiced ginger. And you just take it and put it in a bag in the freezer on its side, so you have little chips you can just break off, and you rub it onto those areas, and it melts away that jaw pain, or you could use Solomon seal, any kind of stuck joint. Your skin is your protection of your interface with the world you live in. So if you have tight pores, you have a nice tight protective vessel as your safe barrier between you and the world. If your pores are more open, you're too open. You're letting too much in. So having nice astringent herbs that are sweet and kind, and witch hazel and all that sort of thing are lovely.
Okay.
She does have lines coming across the forehead, so lower forehead, small intestine, upper forehead, large intestine. And she has one line coming right across the center. So she has a little bit of pore transitioning between the small intestine and the large intestine. And these are fairly straight across. What it looks like is the line is going like this instead of like this across. It's a little bit like this and then like this. So straight lines are even temperament and long-standing. The deeper the line, the more long-standing the issue. And choppy lines are more about worry, stress, that sort of thing. And her eyelashes are good. Nice. Let me see you. Gorgeous eyes. Really beautiful. And your lips are dry. Do you suffer from dryness?
Wintertime.
You
And
talked about
right
it,
now.
supposed to be, yeah. And she also does have melanin on her lips. So on her upper lips she has a little, it's like you took a little eyeliner and you drew melanin. So you should, right here in particular and in here. So are you childbearing now?
Could be, but
Okay, I am a labor coach. You will just
no,
let me know.
my husband's. That's all taken care of.
Snip.
Yeah.
Totally approve of that. So she could have a little pineal thing going on. So when you have that melanin line, that is a pineal symptom.
So it looks like she's wearing lip liner.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can be related to hormonal irregularities as well. Okay. So any of it ring true?
Yeah, well, I had a cervical biopsy done 5 years ago, and since then, yeah, my hormones have been really out of line.
Oh, well,
I shouldn't say really out of line.
maybe
but
you should
just
do
like
just one hit of Staphylococcus.
Staphylococcus.
Yeah,
what's that?
invasions from outside. You know, cervical biopsy is intense. Anytime somebody comes into your body, you know, like medical testing is invasion from outside. Rape is invasion from outside. Bad sex is invasion from outside. You know, if you're a girl. I don't know what it would be for a guy. So, okay. Thank you.